Ngayong adlaw mga amigo, my name is MJ and today I'm going to recommend 7 Filipino books for you to read. I have been wanting to make this recommendation video for quite a long time, and it wasn't until recently that I have decided to make this video because aside that I have been wanting to do this for a very long time, it is also a weekathon, so I think it is like the perfect time to actually recommend Filipino books to you guys. So yeah, without further ado, let's start. The very first book that I'm going to recommend is The Lady Who Laughed by J.D. Ruiz. So I don't know if you guys know, but J.D. Ruiz is one of my favorite Filipino authors, and The Lady Who Laughed is one of my favorite work of hers. The Lady Who Laughed is a historical fantasy romance set in this fantastical place called The Town. And this book is actually the first book of the series, and in this book we focus on the girl named Cressida who wanted to go outside of the town because there are secret passages around the town, in which she was then arranged to this guy named Callan, and Callan coincidentally actually knows the passages because he's part of this secret society, and a romance bloomed between them. What I love about this book is that it doesn't really focus on the romance, which is slow burn by the way. It is filled with intrigue, it is filled with mystery, it is filled with betrayal, and I have a lot of questions actually for this book, in which I am very excited to actually know in the next books because I own the next books of the series. And yes, if you like a historical fantasy romance that is not really focused on the romance and it has intrigue, it has mystery, and it has betrayal and stuff like that, I would highly recommend this book. I actually rated this book 5 stars. So the next book which I can recommend is The Time Capsule by the same author, which is J.D. Ruiz. So I have been talking about Time Capsule for quite a long time in my channel, and it is a contemporary romance. It is about a girl named Stephanie C who went back to Bacolod to join the wake of her estranged grandma, and there she met a guy named Eric and a romance formed from there. And it is actually a slow burn romance kind of thing, just like in The Lady Who Laughed. And they have developed this romance as they look for the time capsule in which her grandma buried somewhere in Bacolod. And what made me love this book is that there is a plot twist in the end in which I am very shocked by, and that's what made me love this book. It is really good. The writing style is also good, and also the writing style is quite similar with The Lady Who Laughs, and I just love it so much. I have been recommending this book to my friends for quite a long time as well, so please pick it up. Next book which I'm going to recommend is, I think a lot of you guys have already read, but I still think that this needs to be talked in this video. And the next book is Januzilang at Ang Tiyanak ng Tabon. It is a middle grade fantasy book. It is written in Tagalog, and it is about a boy named Janus who was playing this game called Tala, and then he joined a tournament for this game, and then a lot of players dropped dead while actually playing the game, and there are a lot of mystery, intrigue, and yes, like problem solving and stuff like that, and also there is death, and I just love it. To be honest, this is my very first middle grade fantasy that is written in Tagalog. That's why I am really shocked and pleased by this book, and I highly recommend this. The writing style is really great, and it is also short. You can read it in a day, and yes, what can you not love about this book? Like, come on, it's a Tagalog middle grade fantasy. The next book which I'm going to recommend is actually a prequel of the next book which I'm going to talk about after this one, and it is Our Asymptotic Love Story by Binibining Mia. It's one of those very few books that made me cry, and I have actually cried about this book in my channel. I have made a reading vlog for this. It is about a girl named Aliza who was enamored by her teacher. I know that sounds really bad like in this line, but hear me out. Aliza and her teacher actually have this reincarnation thing going on. They have known each other in quite a few lifetimes, and they are lovers in a sort, but in a cursed lovers type of way, because if they do end up together, a lot of bad things happen, a lot of deaths will happen, and that's what makes it interesting. And also, it is not only them that is reincarnating, there's also this other guy who reincarnates with them, and he's the guy who breaks them up together, and he usually ends up with the girl, but then the girl dies. Actually, it's quite confusing when I say that, but it has a lot of intrigue as well, and I really love that I am questioning a lot of things in this book. And actually, that's what I like about the book, in which if it makes me question stuff. So yeah, it is also a romance book, which is kind of interesting in a sense because you know that the two people is not supposed to be in the end. So I would highly recommend this book. So, as what I have mentioned, our asymptotic love story is the prequel of the next book which I'm going to talk about. And of course, how can I not talk about I Love You Since 1892 by Binibining Mia? I just love this book. I mean, at first I really don't like it because the first book is questionable when it comes to the writing style and the content. But trust me, the book is actually like gets better by the end, and the next book gets better by the end. It is also like the first part of the series. Oh, I also forgot, our asymptotic love story is part of a trilogy, and this is part of a series. And I don't know, I cried a lot when I read the series. Like, for me, I can highly recommend this book because it is a historical romance and there is time travel, and I just love the fact that it is based on like Philippine history, and I just love Philippine history. I just love learning about Philippine history. So that's why I just love this book. Although there are some parts that is questionable. This book, when it comes to the plot, is so complex, so diverse. A lot of things have happened, and I have cried a lot. And yeah, it's so good. It's so good, and it's not really too kilig. What I don't like about romance books is that if I feel a lot of kilig, because like the novelty of the kilig like goes away when I finish the book. But in this book, like the first part is kilig, yeah, I agree. But then there are a lot of challenges that happens between the couple, like which makes it so interesting to read. So I can highly recommend this book as well as the next books of the series. Next book which I'm going to talk about is also a popular one, but I cannot not put it in my video. And it is The Patron Saints of Nothing by Randy Ribay. So Patron Saints of Nothing is mainly focused on the Duterte administration, and it is about a guy named Jay. He is a Phil-Am, and he went back to the Philippines for a vacation or a visit. I actually forgot because I have read this quite a long time ago. And then he discovered this bad things that is happening in the country under the administration, the previous administration, like the drug wars and stuff like that. What made this book interesting to me, because it has a different perspective, because first of all, Jay is Phil-Am. So being a Phil-Am, this is somewhat like the first time that you have heard of the bad stuff that's happening, because if you live in the Philippines, like all the things that you're hearing is like very common to your ears now. So seeing the bad stuff that is happening in the country through Jay's eyes is quite interesting, because his feelings are much more stronger. His feelings are much more like pronounced compared to someone like me who have lived in the Philippines and have not left the Philippines to stay in another country for quite a long time. And it's quite interesting to see his perspective, and I think that's what made this book so amazing. And also one of the things that made this book amazing is the fact that it tackled something that is quite difficult to be talked about, considering the current political climate of this country, in which a lot of people actually liked that bad stuff that is happening. Last book which I can recommend is of course The Bone Witch by Rin Chupeco. I know a lot of people don't like this book because they find it quite boring, but for me it's not. I just love it. I just love the fact that it is focused on like the Asian culture and the fantastical like powers, and the clothes are very Asian. So it is about a girl named Tia. Thankfully, I was able to learn the correct pronunciation of her name, because in my reading blog for this book, I pronounced her name as T. How embarrassing. So it is about a girl named Tia who then realized that she is a bone witch. A bone witch is basically they can raise someone from the dead and stuff like that. They are very powerful, and they are very rare, and their powers are mostly seen as taboo by a lot of people, and that is really interesting. I just love that. And a lot of them actually have this heart glass around their neck, in which they can show like what elemental powers this person has or stuff like that. I actually forgot na. I have read this like almost a year ago, so but I remembered loving it. It's like a fantasy book that is mainly around Asian culture and stuff like that. I can recommend this book to you. So basically, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any comments about this video, please comment down below and let's discuss. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.
Oh, 1 mile in fog patches and showers early Friday, but improving to greater than 6 miles on Friday morning.
Stars shining bright.